You ever stop and think about where our words for progress actually come from? I mean, really think about it. Turns out, some of the most powerful words we use every day weren't just born. Nope, they were forged in the fire of these massive, world-changing discoveries. So, let's get into it. I mean, think about the phrase, a light bulb moment. We all use it, right? That sudden flash of a brilliant idea. But here's the thing. You can't have a light bulb moment until someone actually invents the light bulb. It's the perfect example of how these huge discoveries don't just change our world, they literally change the words we use to describe it. You see, the story of human progress is literally written in the language it creates along the way. So today, we're going to look at two incredible moments from history, and we're going to see how the very words we use for big ideas, I'm talking hypothesis, breakthrough, innovation, are completely tied to the moments that first gave them their power. All right, first stop, let's go all the way back to the late 1700s. And you have to understand, the world was living in absolute terror of this one relentless killer, smallpox. This was one of the most devastating diseases ever. It would just sweep through towns and cities without any warning, leaving death and horrible scarring behind. The stakes, they literally could not have been higher. Okay, get this. If you got the bad version of smallpox, you had a 35% chance of dying. That's more than 1 in 3. Just terrifying. And for centuries, we had nothing, no defense. That is, until this one English country doctor, a guy named Edward Jenner, noticed something everyone else had missed. So, Jenner formed a hypothesis. Now what's that? It's basically a really smart, educated guess based on what you see. And what he saw was that milkmaids, who were always around cows and often got this mild disease called cowpox, well, they almost never got the deadly smallpox. So he's thinking, wait a minute, is this just a coincidence, or could getting one mild disease actually protect you from a deadly one? This was a wild idea back then, and there was only one way to find out for sure. And this is where things get incredibly risky. We're talking about one of the most dangerous experiments in the history of medicine. In 1796, Jenner takes material from a cowpox sore on a milkmaid's hand, and he puts it into the arm of an 8-year-old boy named James Phipps. The boy gets a little sick, a mild fever, but then he gets better really fast. But that wasn't the real test. Now came the moment of truth. A couple months later, Jenner deliberately exposed the boy to the deadly smallpox virus. Can you even imagine? The whole world was holding its breath. And it worked. The experiment was a success. James Phipps was completely immune. This right here, this was the world's very first vaccine. It was a monumental breakthrough. That's the word for it, right? A sudden, dramatic success that comes against all the odds, and it gave humanity its first real weapon against this horrible disease. So Jenner's breakthrough gives us a new way to fight disease, and a powerful new word. But you know, progress isn't always about one single terrifying experiment. Sometimes it's more like a relentless grinding quest. So now, let's jump forward in time to the 19th century. The new race is on. The race to conquer darkness itself with electric light. And the man at the center of it all, the one and only Thomas Edison. But here's a little surprising fact for you. Thomas Edison did not invent the first electric light, not even close. For decades, brilliant inventors all over the world, guys like Humphrey Davy and Joseph Swan, had already made lights that could glow. So if he didn't invent the first one, what on earth made Edison's version so special? Well, Edison's true genius wasn't just invention, it was innovation. See, he understood that a cool invention is totally useless if regular people can't actually use it. So he didn't just fixate on the bulb. No, he thought about the whole shebang. The generators, the wires, the sockets, the entire system needed to make electric light practical and cheap enough for every single home. That was the real game changer. But man, that innovation did not come easy. Edison ran what he called an invention factory out in Menlo Park, New Jersey. And before he found the right material for the filament, the little part that glows. He and his team went through more than 1,000 failed experiments. 1,000! His persistence was just legendary. It's a perfect reminder that real progress is built on a mountain of trial and error.
And this constant cycle of testing and improving, that was Edison's secret weapon. His first big success was with a piece of carbonized cardboard. And it worked. It glowed for 13.5 hours. I mean, that's a cool trick, right? But it's not a real product you can sell. So he kept going, kept experimenting, until he landed on a carbonized bamboo filament. And that one could last for over 1,200 hours. That was the moment. That was the leap from a cool science fair project to a product that would change the entire world.
So when you put it all together, what's the real legacy of these incredible achievements? Well, it shows us that a single idea, whether it's a vaccine or a light bulb, can have an impact that just echoes down through the generations, totally and completely transforming the world as we know it. Think about it. Before Jenner, we lived with the constant, terrifying threat of smallpox. After his breakthrough, we had a tool to fight back. And it worked so well that in 1980, the World Health Organization declared smallpox was officially eradicated. Gone. It's the only human disease we have ever completely wiped off the face of the planet. What a stunning legacy that is. And what about before Edison's innovation? Well, our entire lives were ruled by the sun. When it went down, the day was pretty much over. But the light bulb, it changed absolutely everything. Suddenly, factories could run 24/7. City streets were safer at night. It completely transformed how we work, how we live, even how we socialize. It didn't just light up our rooms, it lit up our entire future. And this whole pattern, the big idea, the failures, the eventual transformation, it's not just something from old history books. It's still happening right now, all around us. Just look at the internet. Back in 1969, the very first message ever sent on its forerunner, ARPANET, was supposed to be the word login, but the whole system crashed after just 2 letters, L and O. From that one tiny little failure, our entire connected world was born. So here's the real takeaway. These words we've been talking about, they're not just words on a vocabulary list. They are the actual steps on the ladder of human progress. It all starts with a daring idea, a hypothesis. That idea is tested through an experiment. If you're lucky, you get a breakthrough. Then, that breakthrough is made practical through innovation. And in the end, it leaves behind a world-changing legacy. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Right now, as we're pushing the absolute boundaries in fields like AI and gene editing and space travel, what are the next big breakthroughs just over the horizon? And maybe even more exciting, what new words are we going to have to invent just to be able to talk about them?